Hi, this is Laverne from Yeshua'sTime.com, and I'm here again with part 4 of our short Bible study. Before we were talking about the strength of man, the strength of Adam, and we find that in God's truth. And in the scriptures, we also find their symbolism referring to God's truth. And in that is the use of the loins, a part of our body. When we refer to loins, we gird our loins to be ready, or wearing the armor of God. It tells us in Ephesians 6 to gird our loins with truth. Truth is important to walk by and to live by. Without that, we cannot come before God and live life to the fullest. We cannot reach our full potential, and we cannot relate to others the way we should, showing God's love. When we look back at the scriptures, we also can find symbolism in animals. So the last scripture I left off with Job 40. If we look at Job 40, verse 15 through 16, and we were talking the behemoth. Today I was just looking at the birds. It was like a massive amount of birds just coming together, and you could see they're pretty much were all of the same. And the scriptures refer to birds of a feather flock together. In so many ways, we could look at the lion, we could look at the wolf. It talks about the ostrich, the dove. So there's so much symbolism that we can find in the Bible using animals. But let's look at behemoth. Behemoth in Job 40, verse 15, it says, "Behold now behemoth, which I made with thee. He eateth grass as an ox. Lo now, his strength is in his loins." We're talking about loins. So God's giving us an example to look to. We always look at nature to find examples. He also reveals his Godhead and his glory through nature. So there's nothing hidden from us if we're looking for truth. And so he says, "Lo now, his strength is in his loins, and his force is in the navel of his belly." If we go to verse 19, it's emphasizing so that you can now understand the thoughts of God. It's in verse 19 that it says, "He is the chief of the ways of God. He that made him can make his sword to approach unto him." And I skipped some verses, but behemoth is very descriptive. And as far as when you go to subduing or to conquer or to envision, so I suggest that you read Job 40 and take in understanding of the behemoth and his ways. But let's look at the commandment that God gave us, that God gave to Adam, his purpose from creation, from the beginning of creation. In summary, if we go to Genesis, he's telling Adam and Eve, be fruitful, multiply. That does not mean the same thing. That's kind of being like redundant. Replenish the earth, subdue, and have dominion. Because God made us in his image, so he made us as gods. And you can read that in Psalms 8 also. We are gods, but will die like men because of sin. But it doesn't have to be. We have salvation through Yeshua, Jesus. And through salvation, mankind is free again to become godlike in his godlike character, nature. So So let's look at another scripture. I like to use scriptures from Genesis to Revelation, because the scriptures also tell us to study, to show yourself approved, rightly dividing the word of truth. We are not supposed to take a piece of scripture and make it just a lifestyle or build a concept on just a piece. We have to make sure that it reflects who God is, his nature from front to back. The Bible does not contradict. Again, remember I said the original writing of the Bible is Hebrew, so we could always go back to the Hebrew language. So I'm going back to Ephesians 6 by emphasizing verse 14. And it says, "Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness." As we go to verse 16, it says, "Above all, take the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked." And we're also our juice, our fuel with this armor is prayer. If you could read on, it says, "Pray without ceasing." When we're connected to the power source, there's nothing that we cannot do. And the scripture also tells us God is a spirit. Let him that worship him in spirit and in truth. So again, we cannot operate outside of his truth or in our self-will. So I'm going to end because we ran out of time. It's supposed to be a short study. So I will see you next time. God bless.